Welcome back to Startup Dugout by Dell Technologies, a podcast series where we talk to entrepreneurs from India's biggest tech startups to go back to that time when. That time when you needed allies, that time when you needed sound advice and good mentors, that time when you were looking for the right tech partners who can accelerate your growth. I'm Suchita Salwan, the founder and CEO of Little Black Book and a member of Forbes India and Forbes Asia 30 Under 30 lists, and your host for this episode of Startup Dugout. Little Black Book, or LBB, started as a humble Tumblr blog. Today it is India's largest online discovery platform with an objective to seek out, empower and scale India's leading lifestyle businesses. On Startup Dugout by Dell Technologies, we discover how industry leaders respond to challenges in their entrepreneurial journeys. We also learn how initiatives like Dell for Startups empower companies through innovative technology, strategic guidance, proven practical capabilities, and expert consulting assistance. In this episode, I have a conversation with Dharamveer Singh Chouhan, co-founder and CEO of Zostel, a community-led, experience-driven ecosystem that is committed to revolutionizing the idea of traveling in India. Founded in 2013 by 7 co-founders, this impressive team started off by winning 14 back-to-back business plan competitions across the world, including WIEF, Richard Ivey, and Eureka at IIT Bombay. Today, Zostel is available in 75 plus locations across India and Nepal with over 2,500 beds and has served more than 2.25 lakh travelers, out of which 20,000 are female solo travelers. I asked Dharamveer about what sets Zostel apart from traditional hostels, how digital assets are transforming the financial market, and what goes behind finding the perfect property in spectacular locations. So Dharamveer, let's kick off with, although the backpacker culture existed, it wasn't very popular in India at the time. Tell us more a little bit about how this inspired you and about the difficulties in introducing the Zostel concept to the Indian customer for the very first time.
See, I've come from Rajasthan, so I've seen hospitality industry pretty closely, and I hated it. It was the most boring industry that I could ever find. And through chance, I was in Germany. I was in third year. I was on an internship. The whole idea of going to the internship was to do a sort of like a Euro trip as soon as possible in my life. Took the opportunity with both hands. Traveled around 11 countries, and just staying. By chance, I stayed at railway stations. I spent nights at beach somehow, hustling. That's the hardcore backpacking thing. And but luckily stayed at a couple of good hostels along with couchsurfing. And the whole idea of meeting somebody new while you are traveling was like the epiphany for me. That was something that I had never witnessed in hospitality, and therefore it wasn't like it's good or better or worse than a Taj or a 5-star. It was just different, and that just intrigued me a lot. And by that time, I had already had a failed startup. I had closed my gaming studio, so I just took the idea back with me. Almost 2 years I did a lot of research through the library access at IIT and IIMs, and I just tried to figure out why we don't have backpacker hostels still now in the country. And I think if you're smart, many times if you want to do something that seems very obvious, if you want to check that, is that a black hole, that is there a angle that I'm missing, and when I couldn't find it, I think that's no way that I can test it out, then just make one. And that was the journey. Built the first one, and obviously because it was the something new that the market had not seen, so it comes with its own pros and cons. Those who did understood it became our early evangelizers. We never really invested in any sort of paid marketing, or in terms of, explaining people why Zostel is better, etc. We just asked people to travel more for the first 5 years. And I'm sure, that's a period when, LBB was also starting up. And, I'm sure we did a lot of, those urban youth articles around, telling people that, hey, this is a new way to travel. So it was a lot of educative back then. And I still feel, that's the larger vibe in which we feel that if people travel more, they'll figure out different ways to travel, and they'll reach Zostel and as well as other backpacker hostels. It's largely about driving people to travel, explore, and discover themselves for me, rather than anything else. Yeah.
You mentioned this really interesting point about pros and cons. Could you talk to us a little bit about, what was your framework about thinking through, what are the pros and cons, and also through your marketing and initiatives, how did you make more of the cons pros, right? Through your positioning, how did you shift more of the questions around all things backpacker culture and lifestyle to become pros for you?
Yeah, I think, as I had, myself as well backpacked, so I do feel that, I had deeply insight and internal realization that the essence is a common room. Essence is meeting new people. That's a different aspect that we want to make sure that do we very well. We want to make sure that the environment that we set up, like the graffitis, so we were actually the first ones who paid any graffiti artist, at a decent scale to paint walls in 2013-14. Now we know that, it's a whole revolution that, it's compounded exponentially since then. And so, I just think that pros were largely that I always took the challenge as an opportunity as a startup, right? So if you are doing something different, MBA theory says like a blue ocean, so it comes with its own, advantages in the sense that you can be a market leader, you're a market educator, so, people have that sort of a positioning for a longer term. People recognize the whole industry by your name. Even today, I tagged you in this tweet. I was just going through that. There was somebody who was just discovered Zostel today. We are in a 10th year today, and people are still discovering Zostel. And the moment they discover first time Zostel, they go through that same emotion that how did I never knew this? How did such a thing ever exist? And I think that allows you to build a deeper relationship. It's not really about selling a bed. That was never, what we were after. It was about building a deeper relationship, inspiring people. And I think those people have grown. And we always, bet on the community itself. That model today is like all franchisee. It's all locally owned by people who have themselves traveled, who have themselves been Zostel, realize that, this is the lifestyle that they want to do. They want to help people explore their region. We had Zostel Srinagar in 2015-16. It's just an individual who wanted people to explore Srinagar more than anything else, even before things settled down today. So, and I think, that's something that we have really cared about, that who is the one who's opening it up. It's not really, how we have really looked at, traditional businesses. We really focused a lot on making sure that the vibe and the people who are joining the business are somebody who we want to work with long term.
Absolutely. So Zostel is very well known for its fantastic properties and spectacular locations at very affordable prices. How do you select the location for new Zostel properties? You mentioned Srinagar, for example, and also what factors do you consider when expanding to new destinations, especially in a country like India?
Yeah. So I think the beautiful aspect is that, Zostel, there are today 741 districts in our country. There are closer to 21,000 pin codes. We manage a whole tech system, analyzing each and every pin code of our country. Where are the new highways coming up? So the beauty is that there are so many unexplored places where Zostel is something that begins helping you discover where you want to travel. It's the idea is that even you don't know where you want to travel. You just know that, I want to explore different places. So for us, then it becomes that, for an individual, the destination is Zostel itself. So the location becomes an extremely key factor that, this is the place that I'm going and I'm gonna stay over there. We are very bold in terms of locations that we pick up, that we feel that, if it's a spectacular view, it's well connected, even if there's no life or business for 15-20 kilometers, we might be bold to establish over there because of our community. We know that, when we open up over there, people will have faith in us. They will start showing up. And, by God's grace, that's how it's been. The next month onwards, the franchisee or the local business starts, on a break-even scale. So it's a very selective criteria. I would say that, there are thousands of people who want to partner with us. But from those thousands of people, today we have close to now, let's say 80 properties across the country. But trust me, there would be more than 10,000 applications that would have come. So it's a 99.9% kind of selection criteria, that just really helped us, manage the brand and the locations that well.
What are your favorite Zostel properties, or name us some which we may not have heard of before?
I think, this every day, there are places that keep coming up. I think we just opened up Zostel Shell as well. The concept with the Zostel Plus. So Zostel Beer is something, that's really stood out. We recently opened up another one in Lonavala. The Goa's one is epic. And honestly speaking, I'm myself jealous of, people who get to, Zostel around so much more than me today. That long gone are the days then, I would be the one who has visited more Zostels. For me also, it's exploratory, at a lot of times.
I love the verbization. You said Zostel around, a fun way to pitch, your company, especially to consumers. I want to switch over to the fact that one obviously can't deny the role that technology has played in the journey of startups like Zostel and many others. For you, your passion for computers and technology was ignited when your father got you your first computer when you were just in class two. Is a story that you told our producers. Tell us how you use technology and digitization at Zostel for customers and your team, as well as what's the role that Dell has played in this process.
I've been a nerd, all my life, and I
Same,
obviously,
same, same.
that's great to hear, and I think, it's, I think this century nerds are becoming cooler, so that's great. That's great to know.
High five to you and me, Dharamveer. High five to you and
Yeah, I
me.
think you are the one, who's, getting the production and making it cooler. So, a lot more high five to you. And just building upon it, and obviously, we have to give a high five to Elon Musk, the biggest nerd out there, So, so where were we, right? So I think, I've always been a nerd, so I just, my brain's tuned in such a fashion that for whatever solution that, we'll possibly pick up, technology today, or, I think from a lot of time, it's how you want to apply it to achieve what you want to achieve, So for us, from the outside, it might look like, hey, what do we let's say from a supply is where the business really starts, for somebody approaching us for a franchisee application, so even having a great form, that's clearly online, there are no calls that happen, the data comes extremely filtered according to the pin codes. There's a location that the person can send within the application, and automated emails that get triggered everywhere, the calendar scheduling that happens beyond that. I think each and everything, it's very easy to ignore the aspect of how it's that it comes in the background, right? So it's many times you think that, hey, what the hell is technology even doing for me, and that's the beauty of technology. When I look at Dell, Dell was actually the first laptop, I would say, that Dell XPS edition was something that I bought in 2008 itself. So it was a very high-end laptop, and since then, it had a 4-year warranty, etc., that I got along with it. So it's obviously been from a consumer hardware perspective, they were the first ones who started delivering online laptops back then. More than they allowed me to design my own gaming laptop back then. So I think they've always been on the edge. The Dell particularly itself. And I can keep expanding upon, how, our Zostel app is something that allows us to have almost 85% of direct bookings with the customers. And we are going much deeper into the relationship, around the social angles, the events that happen within the property itself. How do you get those communicated in a very effective manner, without being intrusive, with your customers. So it's everywhere.
Awesome. With that, we'll take a little break and be right back. It's amazing to know how Zostel uses technology to help backpackers explore each corner of India fearlessly, and how Dell has been a part of making this incredible journey of making travel possible for anyone and everyone. Now, apart from offering trustworthy digital solutions, Dell for Startups helps companies reach their goals and defines new routes for their success. They help startups in India to accelerate their digital journey and solve some of the biggest challenges in the country, keeping Dell's core purpose in the forefront, creating technologies that drive human progress. We now head back to Startup Dugout by Dell Technologies to hear more from Dharamveer Singh Chouhan about Zoworld, the first dedicated club for NFT artists, lessons from his first venture, and how Zostel has created an umbrella of trust. Awesome. So we're back from our break. So Dharamveer, while startups typically have 2 or 3 co-founders, Zostel really stands out because you guys have a team of 7 co-founders. And despite the fact that numerous co-founders can bring a variety of skills and experiences to the table, I assume there is always a challenge with so many cooks in the kitchen. So tell me a little bit about what are the benefits and drawbacks associated with having such a large founding team, and how do you make sure that Zostel's a well-oiled machine that will continue to bloom and grow?
Sure. I think it was easier for me to have 7 because of my own personality. In fact, I could have had even more. I think the 7th co-founder did advise me that we need to stop having more co-founders. And where I personally did came from was that I had a failed startup before that I had started on my own for 3-4 years as a hardcore tech startup, right? And none of my friends around me were that techie. I was the only one. And so one of the learnings that you can say that probably I took it too far was that it's good to have, people who care, possibly even more than you for the business and bring them all together. And all of them, I brought people who I had very huge respects for in terms of, individual skills and, in terms of various different factors, right? And so, when you bring such high energy people together, I think the positive aspect of that was that, we can accelerate a lot faster. That, many times what a startup wants is speed. That, so you can bring all of them together, and, if you can be well oiled and gelled and directional, so there's a lot more channel energy that's coming. You ideally want everybody in your company to feel like a co-founder. That was the culture that, that I wanted to establish for long forward. I had around a 20 people core team that really felt, as a co-founding team, especially for the Zorooms business that we started off as well. And but having said that, because you have such great smart individuals, it's very there's no one way that's a right way to run a company, and it's very difficult to understand this aspect. Our companies are a reflection of, let's say, the CEO and then the founding team over there, right? And so there might be Amazon might be run in a different fashion by Jeff Bezos than whoever might be running it today, right? And when you have different individuals, it's for a longevity, in terms of having always aligned, that might come out as a challenge. And for us, since we did have our own friendships earlier and a larger understanding of different aspects of how the business works, etc. I think we worked out in our own fashion between us that, how it might be best to solve for each individual, and not just individual co-founders, but stakeholders other than the co-founders, right? The angel investors, the venture investors, and everything, in our own journey, how it all shaped.
And, just to double tap on that, conflict resolution is such a big part of how you build teams, companies, and cultures. Talk to me a little bit about how having 7 co-founders has helped you, resolve conflicts in a much more healthier way, because you'll need to do that when you've got, so many people as a part of the equation.
I think, it's more than, just, resolution of conflicts while we have been building. It's largely very straightforward, that the clear communication of where you're coming from, and, all the basics of proper communication of, how you're feeling, why do you feel so, and all of those things can be communicated. I think personally it really helped me becoming a lot more emotionally mature. I think, along the last decade or so, working with so many people and individuals, there's a large emotional maturity that I have personally gained in terms of achievement of, these things can have impact on your, on your own understanding of universe. So I think that's really been helpful to me. There were several blind spots that I did not know about the universe of how, or let's say, how individuals function in a different their own philosophies, priorities, how they see different. The same universe, comes out as differently to different individuals. So everybody is. It really did push me to become much more philosophical. I would say, in the sense that there can be various versions of truth. From each one carries his own.
Yeah. That's so nicely said. I want to switch gears to, your first venture, which was a game development company, which you've alluded to, over the past 20 odd minutes, called Bright Hand Studio. And you started this when you were just in second year of college. Did setting up your own company at a young age give you any leverage? And, though it didn't translate the way you wanted it to, what were your learnings, takeaways for your next startup?
Absolutely. There's no way that I could have built Zostel had I not done what I had done. Being a student entrepreneur during the IIT days really positioned, myself. It gave me a base to hold while in IIM everybody else was, looking for the best jobs. And, I just stood my own ground and, inspired other great individuals to join and possibly create. We raised $1 million of funding before we graduated from IIM as well. So practically we created the best job that's possible from the best institute of our country. So I had, probably, that sort of a goal at that point in time. And, because I had, already done that sort of a startup for, in my undergrad days, there are things that I wish, people and individuals could learn about entrepreneurship without being an entrepreneur. But unfortunately, I have now had enough conversations, and I'm well aware that, if you start your entrepreneurship journey at a 13 years old age. I've met entrepreneurs who are 13-year-old, or whether you started at 53 years of age. You might there's no coursework around it. So there's some things that you have to learn about yourself, about how to build businesses along the way. So I think just starting it off early helped me discover myself, correct my mistakes, and those things compound. Those things compound over a period of time. Yeah.
Any one learning that you want to call out to?
I think, I did fell a lot in love, during my first startup. And I've really communicated a lot of time to early entrepreneurs that, it's a two-way thing that, you want to be very passionate about what you're building, but then you have to be detached with your kid that, this, he or she, whatever you think about it, has to go out and stand on its own. People will criticize it. And that's the only way for it to grow. So I did run a website, iplcricketgame.com, a gaming startup. Before, in first year I did that. That actually gave me the confidence to have a private limited registered company, hire employees and internship, make games on Facebook and, all of those things. I'd learned the coding so I could get other people to work for me. And so I think those, just some experiments just help you keep moving forward. And this one key learning is that just release it. Don't have a timeline, have a deadline for whatever you are doing. Don't get lost that, I'm perfecting it. There's no such thing as perfection. Just get it out, man.
I love that. Get it out and be detached. So you've recently launched Zo World, the world's first dedicated club that helps incubate, curate, and launch artists in the web space. In what way do you think digital assets are transforming financial marketplaces, and what part is Zo World playing in ushering this change? Especially now where the hype of NFTs has sort of cooled down and digital assets has cooled down. Would love to know a little bit more about Zo World.
Sure, it's an elite internet club. That's what it is, and the idea is to help the members, make a living following their heart, on the internet. I think the world is going to move a lot towards that direction. The whole 21st century, this is going to be a very fast information age revolution that's happening right in front of our eyes. Internet is fairly young at 25 years old. It's younger than both of us. It's probably changed the world, but it's about to get mature. I think Bitcoin and digital assets are the first step towards the, things just scale. Many times, let's say Uber just scaled and then you have to fix it, right? That the quality has all screwed up. I have to fix it. Internet has scaled. It's gone through that phase now that the growth of internet users is not increasing anymore. The geo users are the same that they were 2 years before in India. And the bandwidth might be increasing and all of those things. So Bitcoin is actually the first digital asset that is actually, in my opinion, the beginning of the metaverse. We own assets in the real world. So that's the first digital asset. And just like any other technology, it's been 14 years now. So we are at a world that, anything can be a digital asset. And it's a playground. It's like an internet. What do you do with internet? You might want to make Google. You might want to make Hotmail. You might want to make Yahoo or Amazon. You're limited by your own creativity rather than anything else, And so I'm super excited. I think the best startups of the last decade, has been Bitcoin and Ethereum, and last 5 years has been Polygon. It's just that our definition of startup hasn't evolved to understand what's really happening. And that's very natural. We, as humans, it's very difficult to understand that kind of change. But where we are sitting right now, and I'm super excited, I've chosen an industry more than anything else. I want to, I do large to think that whatever I'm doing at Zostel, it's largely a cultural revolution more than just about building a business. There might be several easier ways to make money, than, going out and then doing all of the things that I do over there, that we do. And similarly, that, this NFT club, we are probably the only ones in India that has, survived the bear. We practically launched in bear. I'm very bad at marketing and hype. I don't even know how to use it. I just have, core users who believe in what we do. And I think, that's how somehow we have increased almost 6x in prices since in the bear market. We did probably everything that everybody advised not to do. We never paid any marketers, nothing we did. We just launched the NFTs, and it's been an amazing journey. We today have, great individuals who keep joining the club, and we've been doubling down on them, compounding with them. And it's a fairly large world that, I can have an hour of conversation, if not more, just trying to, explain you the intricacies. But I'll just leave you with that for now. Yeah.
What's been the coolest digital asset or digital artist who you've stumbled upon within Zo World?
See, I think the coolest digital asset is actually Bitcoin. But from an artist perspective, so as I said that, artist is one thing that I really think that everybody has deep down an artist. A couple of years back, I never felt that digital assets, such a technology blockchain thing, why will any designers be excited about joining it, right? And today I own more than 1,000 NFTs. I've possibly have more than 300 400 creators who I own stuff from, and it's very difficult to even choose who's one. But Tyler Hobbs has this thing called as fidenzas. They're generative art. They're supremely beautiful. I, being a nerd, I can just tell you that there have been things. I come from such a philosophy. There's never been anything in the materialistic world that's been inspired me to ever felt that I want a bigger house or bigger car. Somehow I've never been able to motivate myself for those things. But being a nerd, having seen, let's say, a Fidenza or a Bored Ape or a CryptoPunks that I don't have, I totally get it. That's what I want. I want those digital assets more than I want a house somehow. So, I've been in that life that, I've just doubled down on my own passions and cultures more than trying to resist and fit into a framework of what is entrepreneurship. For me, it's a lifestyle that, I just solve for myself, and let's see where it takes me.
It's taken you places so far. It's taken you places. So, last question for you. In today's travel landscape, the backpacking culture has gained significant popularity, resulting in so many traveler, backpacker led hostels throughout India. But Zostel's been able to create this umbrella of trust, which is why, so many of your customers keep choosing you over and over again. What sets Zostel apart from your traditional hotels or other accommodation options? And when you think about the future of Zostel, what is the future that you imagine? I'm assuming NFTs will be a part of it, given the excitement that you have for it. But please tell us about that.
Social travel, I think, that's going to be a much deeper term that we're going to explore. I think, the backpackers have evolved, and largely in India, the term itself never really, I would be, I'll just tell you that many times we really owned the term itself. For people, hosteling has been about zosteling, that many people understand. Even in their families, even if they open a hostel, they might say that I've opened a Zostel. So that's been the advantage of being the pioneers of bringing the concept in India. And I think just now becoming even more mainstream. Just think about it, that just probably a noob like me, who just hundreds of thousands of people before me would have gone to Europe backpacked for sure, right? And we opened up. It's been there for it's been there in 60s 50s. The concept's been there in Australia. It's been there, but today, somebody who just started it off, probably did a hell lot of mistakes along the way, and still we are today the world's largest chain of backpacker hostels. And it took me a bit of time to internalize it, and then position the responsibility of taking the whole industry forward, right? So today we have large global ambitions. We want to take the whole concept of social travel on a large scale. There can be lakhs of square feet of constructed properties across India, outside India, that cater to hundreds of youth, at one place, meeting others, possibly working remotely like a digital nomad for months and years, traveling across the world, probably staying in Bangalore, or maybe traveling India 6 months, going to Thailand for another 3 months, going to Dubai, Middle East for another couple of months, Latin America. So just look at it. It's so beautiful that there's no backpacker hostels today in the MENA region. In the whole Dubai, they don't even get it. What's affordable luxury for them? It's like either a labor camps or a 5-star hotel. So even when I look at United States, that's also a place that I feel that you might have Airbnbs, but the idea of social travel is missing. You have highway hotels, you have Patel motels and things like that, but you don't have the social travel concept. So I'm very excited for the coming decades. There's nothing short term that we are aiming for, and we just want to inspire, build the requisite technology, work with the right partners. It's always been about finding the right partners, always. For me in life, for us at business, at Zostel, in the team, if you find the right people that you can trust and that you can work with for the longest of terms, I strongly believe in the benefits of compounding, and then it's a win-win for everybody involved. So let's see. Super excited. Yeah.
Awesome. No, this has been brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing your philosophy, your learnings, your takeaways, and what excites you about all things Zostel. And more power to you, man. We wish you all the very, very best.
Thank you so much, Suchita. I've been a fan of LBB, for long. It's been a great opportunity talking with you. Thank you for amazing questions. Love the team, everything. And see you around.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Zo. I'll leave you if you say zo.
Zo.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was Dharamveer Singh Chouhan, co-founder and CEO of Zostel on Startup Dugout by Dell Technologies. If you're an entrepreneur that's forging your path with your dreams, Dell for Startups can help you in your digital journey and transformation. For more details, check out the links in the episode description.